It's a pleasure to welcome you all once again to this series of lectures on inferential discrete mathematics. The last class we had a lot of practice on solving a linear recurrence relation which is either homogeneous or non-homogeneous by using a very simple algorithm. For the homogeneous recurrence relation, we found the general solution and used the initial conditions to determine the arbitrary constants. For the non-homogeneous recurrence relation, we broke the solution into two parts. We solved the homogeneous part first, like we solved a homogeneous recurrence relation, and we considered the particular solution of the recurrence relation based on the non-homogeneous function defined as part of the recurrence relation. We solved close to 6 problems on this, and you got enough practice, and I promised you that we will be learning a different method to solve a recurrence relation, and that is what we will do today. This method is called as solving a recurrence relation using generating functions. Now, to understand what this means, I would like to draw your attention to a few familiar formulae in binomial expansions. You might have come across these formulae also while learning geometric progression, and that is why I have chosen that formula first. On your screens you see that there is a summation happening in terms of powers of x. You have 1 plus x squared plus x cube, etc. Now, even though this is in terms of powers of x, it is not very difficult to understand that the terms are in geometric progression. I keep multiplying every term by a power of x. 1 times x is x times x is x squared times x is x cube, so on and so forth. So this is basically a geometric progression where the common ratio is the term x. Now, if the series is infinite and if x is less than 1, then the summation will converge to a particular number given on your right. That number is 1 by 1 minus x. To give you an example, suppose I were to add up 1 plus half plus 1/4 plus 1/8 etc., and I am supposed to add it as an infinite sum, I will know that this sum will approach the number 2, because the common ratio in the geometric progression is half, and half is less than 1, and since we are doing an infinite summation, I can make use of this formula on the right. So I will just do 1 upon 1 minus half, that's 1 upon half, and that's half. So this kind of an infinite summation can happen in a geometric progression provided the common ratio is less than 1. The same formula can also be derived using the binomial expansion for a negative exponent. You might have come across this expansion of 1 plus x to the power of n, where n is necessarily a positive integer, but there is also another variant of this where you have a negative exponent for a binomial expansion. The formula follows the same pattern. So this is one way in which you can add up an infinite number of terms and get the answer in a very simplified form. But this is no way close to sequences, but you don't have to worry, I am getting there. Similarly, the second summation happens across powers of x, where every second term has a different sign. So I start with 1 and I go to minus x, the next one is plus x squared minus x cube, so on and so forth. So every term is a power of x, but every second term has a different sign. This summation can also be equated to a simple formula 1 upon 1 plus x. This is once again as a consequence of learning expansion of a binomial term with a negative exponent, but let us not discuss those because the scope of this paper is restricted to recurrence relations alone. It is a pretty simple formula and you can always find it on the internet. The third relation is another expansion in terms of an infinite summation where all of them are powers of x, but the coefficients keep changing by one number. I have 1 and I have x next, but it's not just x, it is 2x. Later I have x squared, but it's not just x squared, it's 3x squared. So all of them are positive, every term is a power of x, but the coefficients keep increasing by 1 unit. The formula is 1 upon 1 minus x whole squared. This is once again the negative exponent of 1 upon of 1 minus x, where the power is minus 2. If I flip the sign, if I have every second term having a different sign, as in 1 minus 2x plus 3x squared minus 4x cubed, so on and so forth, that will correspond to the similar expansion of a binomial term like 1 plus x, but this time it is positive. So these are some elementary formulae where an infinite series can be summed up to a value of a function. Now this is what we are going to call as the generating function. Functions of this kind are what we will focus on in this section of recurrence relations. Each of these is a function, because you change the value of x, the answer is supposed to change. So if I call one of them as g of x, the another one of them as h of x, f of x, k of x, etc., each of these can be called as a function, and we call them generating functions because these functions are going to generate a sequence. Because 1 upon 1 minus x, we saw that it is an infinite summation of increasing powers of x where every term was positive. Now if you have a close look at the coefficients, you will see that all coefficients are the same. All coefficients are 1. Therefore the function f of x is 1 minus x is going to generate a sequence in which every term is 1. That is why you call them as a generating function. It's not just a function, it's going to generate a sequence. Now if you expand the function in terms of powers of x, then the coefficients taken out separately and arranged across a line is going to generate a sequence. Now similarly, the second function that we considered, 1 upon 1 plus x, that's going to generate a function, it's going to generate a sequence where every second term is negative 1. So all terms are 1s, but the second, fourth, sixth and eighth terms are minus 1s. So this generates a beautiful sequence, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, so on and so forth. Every odd index is 1 and every even index is minus 1. So that's why we call these functions not just functions, we call them as generating functions also. Likewise you can also like relate it to the idea where 1 upon 1 minus x whole square as a function is going to generate a sequence where the terms are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we are focusing only on the coefficients. Forget the powers of x, look at the coefficients, they form a nice sequence. 1, 2, 3, you can even find what the 100th term will be, it's going to be 100. Likewise the last function that we considered, 1 upon 1 plus x whole squared, is going to generate a sequence where every term is just one more than the previous term. So it's probably an AP only, it's just an AP, but this time you also flip the sign. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as in the previous example, it's 1 followed by minus 2 followed by plus 3 minus 4, so on and so forth. Every even indexed term is going to be negative, every odd indexed term is going to be positive, and you just return the index as the term of the sequence. So this way functions which we learnt, which we have already learnt before, can be used to generate sequences, and that is the main purpose of today's lecture. We will try and solve certain recurrence relations not using the algorithm we learnt in the previous class, but by using such generating functions. That's going to be the last part of this unit on recurrence relations, and we'll discuss this today. For example, I've taken a very simple recurrence relation and we'll try and solve this using generating functions. The recurrence relation given here is over here. You can see that it is of order 1 because it depends only on one previous term an minus 1. It is also non-homogeneous because you also have a constant there in the definition of an, and you also have one base condition, initial condition given as a naught being equal to 1. And the question also clearly suggests that the formula is valid only for integers greater than or equal to 1, because the base condition, the initial condition is for n is equal to 0. So only for that the answer is already given. For every other term I can use the formula to determine that particular term of the sequence. So that's the definition of the recurrence relation, and you must have been comfortable, you must have got comfortable with such definitions. We have discussed close to 15 problems where we have discussed various recurrence relations of various orders and various types. So now today's class we will focus on using a generating function to solve this recurrence relation. I am not going to do this by the previous algorithm. I can leave that as an exercise to you. You can always solve it by yourselves and compare the answers. You are supposed to get the same answer because the answer doesn't change based on the method. As long as you are solving it correctly, the answer cannot change. So today we will have a look at this approach of solving a recurrence relation using a generating function. Now, as we saw in the previous couple of slides, all generating functions are having a unique pattern in them, and that pattern is that every term is a power of x and every term has a coefficient connected to it. Therefore, the general form of a generating function can be given as on your screen. So the g of x, which I will call as the solution to the given recurrence relation, can be formulated in this form. It is just a n x bar n, where a subscript n will denote the coefficients which will denote the terms of the sequence we are trying to generate, number 1, and x bar n is just going to represent the powers of x in the definition of the generating function. So that's why I have explained it as a term by term expansion. G of x is of the form a naught x bar 0, a1 x bar 1, a2 x bar 2, so on and so forth. Even though you may know that a naught x bar 0 is just a naught, it is easy to represent it like this so that you get the core idea of a combination of a coefficient and a power of x. Every term is going to be a coefficient, a number, a constant which is multiplied by some power of x, and the general form of the generating function that we will use is on your screens. Now we do not have all of that in the question. The question just says the relation between an and an minus 1. We do not have any room to introduce these powers of x. So what we will do is consider the recurrence relation given, and we will multiply throughout the given equation by x bar n. Why x bar n? Because x bar n is important to look at the same answer using a generating function. All generating functions that we saw were summations of powers of x. So to insert the power of x into the problem, we will multiply throughout the equation by power of x. And what else is part of the generating function? We are summing up. We are summing up from 0 to infinity. That is what we saw in the general definition. Any generating function will have its summation from the index 0 to an infinite index. But here the problem wants us to deal with the summations only when n is greater than or equal to 1, and therefore for the sake of uniformity and for the sake of sticking to the conditions given in the problem, we will do each of the summations from the same number 1. So the equation given here and the summation equation given here are not very different. You have x bar n in the bottom equation, you do not have x bar n in the top equation. That is the only difference. You do not have summation in the top equation and you have summation at the bottom equation. That's the only difference. But why do we need to do both? Why should we introduce a power of x? Why should we do the summation? Because we are trying to solve the recurrence relation using the generating function, which has its format, which has its predefined format as a summation of powers of x. So that's what we are doing. We are multiplying throughout the given equation by x power n and summing up from 1 to infinity. Remember, it is not done between 0 and infinity, because the question clearly states that we'll have to begin from n is equal to 1. Okay. Now look at this 3 parts of the summation equation. The one on the right is the most simple, because it is just going to be powers of x. There is no constant involved except 1. That's going to be the most easiest part to solve. Look at the other two. The other two summations are where the recurrence relation is actually playing a role. Now that is where we have to deal it very carefully. Now look at the one on the left. You're starting from a(n) x power n, where n starts from 1. So you'll start with a1 x power 1, a2 x power 2, so on and so forth. The starting term is a1. But the one on the right, if I start with n is equal to 1, then I'll have a1 minus 1 over here, and a1 minus 1 supposed to give me a0. So I'll have an a0 and an x power 1 as the first term in the summation. The problem with this kind of an arrangement is that it is not exactly what we saw in the previous slide. The generating function g of x is such that a0 and x0 are together, a1 and x power 1 are together, a2 and x squared are together. But what we have here in the problem is a0 and x power 1. So our first task is to take care of that difference. So we will deal with each of these summations separately and then sum them up at the end and solve the problem. So that's what we have. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we have. We make this adjustment. So what we had was 3 times summation n is 1 to infinity a n minus 1 x to the power of n. Now to adjust the difference between the subscript index and the superscript index, we will factor out 1 power of x. That is done to have a uniformity between the subscript and the superscript. Now what this means is I will start with a0 x power 0, because that's how g of x is actually defined. The index of the subscript and the index of the superscript are supposed to be together. To bring about that difference, what I'll do is I'll fish out an x from this summation. I'll write this x power n as x times x power n minus 1. Now in that case, the subscript index as n minus 1 and the superscript index as n minus 1 are both the same. So this x, which is separate, I have written outside. I have not disturbed any other term in the summation, because everywhere the indices do match. It matches in the first summation because it's a1 x, a2 x squared, so on and so forth. It matches in the last because every coefficient is 1. There's no problem with them. Only the second term needed adjustment, and we have done that. Now considering the last summation, this is what we have. We have x plus x squared plus x cube, etc. Now what I can do obviously is factor out one of those x's outside. So we'll just have x times 1 plus x squared, and if you can recall, this is the first generating function that we learnt. 1 plus x plus x squared is in fact the function 1 upon 1 minus x. So we are introducing the first generating function into the solution. We will write this last summation as x times 1 by 1 upon 1 by 1 minus x. Proceeding further, we have g of x which actually starts with a naught x power 0, but since the first problem had a summation from 1 to infinity, we actually ended up having a1x plus a2x square etc. so on, which is not exactly g of x, because g of x begins at a naught, our summation begins at a1. So what is the difference? This answer is actually g of x minus a naught. It is nothing but all of g of x from which you have removed the first term a naught. This is reflected in the simplification over here. The LHS, which was a summation from 1 to infinity, has been rewritten as the same as g of x minus a naught. Further, this summation is once again, even though it starts at 1, it is going to have a naught x power 0, a1 x power 1 etc. So this can also be written as 3x times g of x. Simplifying, this is what we get. The LHS is g of x minus a naught, the first summation is x times g of x, and then you have x upon 1 minus x. Grouping together all g of x terms, we have this answer, and the question also gave us the initial condition that a naught was 1, so you can have a naught replaced by 1. So simplifying this will give us 1 minus x plus x upon 1 minus x, which turns out to be 1 upon 1 minus x. So what we will have is just 1 upon 1 minus x. Therefore g of x is simply 1 upon 1 minus x, but we also had a 1 minus 3x multiplied, therefore we will end up with having 1 upon 1 minus x times 1 minus 3x as the required generating function. But we are not satisfied yet, we need to know whether this answer is right. We have actually solved for g of x the moment you write g of x to be 1 upon 1 minus x times 1 minus 3x, that is actually the generating function that we are searching for. But to convince ourselves, let us simplify further. Simplifying this requires certain refreshing of partial fractions, we will do that. So 1 is a times 1 minus 3x plus b times 1 minus x. We are supposed to solve for a and b, so we can do this easily by substituting, or let us expand them. So you will have a minus 3ax plus b minus bx, or 1 is a plus b plus x times minus 3a minus b. Comparing this with 1, we have a plus b is 1, and since there is no x term on the right, minus 3a minus b is a plus b is 1 and minus 3a minus b is 0. Adding both, we will see that we have minus 2a is 1, or a is minus half. If a is minus half, we know that a plus b is 1, or b is 1 minus a. So b is 1 minus of minus half, and therefore b is 3 by 2. So now you have a and b before us, which means the generating function which we are after is given by the expression g of x is equal to minus half by 1 minus x plus 3 by 2 upon 1 minus 3x. Now all that we have to do is rewrite them in terms of a power series and generate the sequence that we are after. So g of x is minus half times 1 by 1 minus x, and we know that 1 by 1 minus x is expanded in this form. That's 1 plus x square plus x cube, so on and so forth. And we also have a 3 by 2 before us. That's a 3 by 2 times 1 by 1 minus 3x. That's going to be 1 plus 3x whole square plus etc. That's once again the same expansion that we are after. Now if we group together these terms, we have our answer. Let's group the constants first. 3 by 2 minus half plus the x term, which is 3 by 2 times 3 minus half times x, plus 3 by 2 times 9 minus half times x squared, so on and so forth. So the power series before us is of this form. Now we are going to focus only on the coefficient, because I told you that the coefficients of the expanded form of the power series are the sequence that we are after. So to generate the an, we will just focus on the coefficients in this expansion. The coefficients are as follows. The first coefficient, the constant term, is 3 by 2 minus half. The next term is 3 times 3 by 2 minus half again, and then we have 3 by 2 times 9 minus half again. So can we have a general formula? It turns out that we can, in fact. So this is 3 power 1 by 2 minus 1 half plus 3 power 2 by 2 minus half times x plus 3 power 3 by 2 minus half times x square, and so on. So the coefficient is going to be of the form 3 to the power of n plus 1 minus 1 by 2, because if n is 0, I have 3 to the power of 0 plus 1, that's 3 minus 1 by 2. It happens here. If n is 1, I have 3 to the power of 1 plus 1 minus 1 by 2, that happens here, and then so on and so forth. You can build the sequence. So this way, defining and exactly determining the generating function will help us define the sequence and therefore solve the given recurrence relation, be it of any order, be it of any type. You don't have to determine the equation or the roots of the characteristic equation. You don't have to look and solve the homogeneous part and the non-homogeneous part. Determining the g of x helps us solve any recurrence relation very easily. That is why we are having this as a part of this. To give you one more example, let's consider another simple recurrence relation. This is once again of order 1. This is once again non-homogeneous, and this is once again a linear recurrence relation. We have already solved this, but we solved this using the simple algorithm. This time around we will solve it using the generating function. As usual, I have defined my g of x. You must have got familiar with the definition by now. G of x, the summation of all powers of x, where every time there is a coefficient involved. So g of x is of this form. G of x is a naught x power 0, a1 x power 1, a2 x power 2, so on and so forth. But the given recurrence relation has this as the equation, and therefore we will try and solve this using the generating function technique. So to induce or to insert the powers of x summation form, we will multiply throughout the given equation by x power n and do a summation. But the summation will not be done from 0, because the definition given is valid only from 1 and up north. Therefore the summation that we will write will also be from n is equal to 1 to infinity everywhere across all the 3 terms in the given definition. The only difference here is that we don't have a 3, we have a 5, we don't have a 6, we have a 9. That's the only difference. So we will have a look at each of these summations individually and solve them. This summation over here is going to start with a1 x power 1, a2 x bar 2, so on and so forth. But that's not g of x. Recall, g of x starts at a naught x bar 0 and then goes to a1 x bar 1. So what we have here is simply g of x from which the a naught term has been removed. So that's the first simplification that we'll do. The second one is pretty easy. The second one involves this summation, where we see that the index of the exponent and the index of the subscript are not matching, but we know that in g of x those two indices always matched. So in order to bring about that, what we'll do is factor out 1x outside. So we'll write this as 5 times x times the summation, where you have a n minus 1 x to the power of n minus 1. Now the exponent of x and the subscript index of a do match, so you can bring about the g of x that we are trying to solve for. And on the right you have 9x power n. That's going to be pretty simple, because every term will have 9 as the coefficient, and you will have a summation of all powers of x where every term is positive in nature. That's what I've done. I've factored the x outside to make room for the simplification, and the one on the right is 9 times x power n. So I can factor out 9 from every term. I'll have 9x plus 9x squared plus 9x cubed, so on and so forth. So if I factor out 9x, I'll just have 1 plus x squared, which we already know by now is that it is the summation, which is the generating function 1 upon 1 minus x. So the term on the right is where we introduce the first generating function to solve this recurrence relation. So it is just 9x times 1 minus x. Proceeding further, the first term, as we showed, is g of x minus a naught. The second term is just 5x times g of x. The last term is 9x upon 1 minus x. Now in order to find the answer for g of x, we'll group all of them together. So g of x times 1 plus 5x is what I have on the left. The a naught is free to move on the right. I have a naught plus 9x upon 1 minus x. The question gave us the initial condition that a naught was 6. So that's what I have here. And to add these two, I'll just take the LCM. 6 times 1 minus x plus 9x upon 1 minus x. That's 6 minus 6x plus 9x, and 9x and 6x give you 3x. So 3x plus 6 upon 1 minus x. So to find g of x, I'll move this to the bottom. I'll divide both sides by 1 plus 5x, and I'll have the answer as g of x to be 3x plus 6 divided by these two linear functions. As usual, to determine the answers for a and b, I'll have to do partial fractions. So I'll have 3x plus 6 on the left, and on the right I'll just do the LCM of these two fractions. So a times 5 plus x, a times 1 plus 5x plus b times 1 minus x. Now solving for a is easy. I'll just use x as 1. Now if x is 1, I'll have 3 times 1 plus 6, that's 9, equaling a plus a times 1 plus 5, because x is just 1, and b vanishes because I have b times 1 minus 1. So 9 is 5a, or a is 9 upon 5. That's the first answer we have required to find out. To find b, I'll just use x as 0. Now if x is 0, the LHS comes down to 6. So 6 is, a is 9, so it's 9 by 5 times 1 plus 0, that is 9 by 5, plus b times 1 minus 0, that's once again b. So b is going to be 6 minus 9 by 5. 6 minus 9 by 5 is easy. 6 is 30 by 5. 30 by 5 minus 9 by 5 is just 21 by 5. So the resolved format of the recurrence relation is like this: 9 by 5 upon 1 minus x plus 21 by 5 upon 1 plus 5x. This is 9 by 6. I will make the correction. This is 6a. That's A is 9 by 6. So B is 9, B plus 9 by 6 is 6. That's 36. So when you subtract, that's going to be 36 minus 9 by 6. 36 minus 9 is 27, and 27 by 6 is just 3. 27 by 6 is just 9 by 2. So we'll have a 9 by 6 upon 1 minus x and a 9 by 2 upon 1 plus 5x. That just comes down to 3 by 2 upon 1 minus x plus 9 by 2 upon 1 plus 5x. Now that we have solved for the answer, let's just check if that holds good. So g of x we have found out is 3 by 2 upon 1 minus x plus 9 by 2 upon 1 plus. To give you an example, let's consider this problem. In fact, this problem is totally different from all the problems we have seen so far. On your screens is a linear, non-homogeneous, second order recurrence relation. It's linear because the terms are involved as they are not squared or cubed or anything. It's non-homogeneous because you have a 4 power n as a function, and it's of order 2 because the last index is at 2, and you're also given 2 initial conditions to begin your problem with. So to solve this recurrence relation, let's once again consider the g of x as the summation of various powers of x put together. So we are looking for a g of x like this: a naught x power 0 plus a1 x power 1 plus a2 x squared, so on and so forth. And this is the recurrence relation that we have. Once again, to insert the powers of x and to introduce the summation, we will multiply throughout the given recurrence relation by a power of x, x power n that is, and do the summation from a uniform starting point. And the uniform starting point for this problem is at 2. Unlike the previous problem where we started from 1, we are supposed to start from 2 here, because the formula is valid only when n is greater than or equal to 2. So we have this summation where every summation happens from the same starting point 2. Let's discuss how to simplify terms of this. Let's look at the one on the left. The one on the left is the summation which begins with a2 x squared, a3 x cubed, so on and so forth. This is okay. This actually corresponds to the usual pattern of your generating function where the index of the sequence and the exponent of x are the same. But what is the problem here? We are missing 2 terms. So this is in fact g of x from which I have already removed a0 and a1x, because if you can recall, g of x is a0 plus a1x plus a2x squared, so on and so forth. These 2 terms are missing in the summation, and therefore they have to be removed from the answer. Okay. Now this summation is once again where we do a very minor manipulation, because this summation doesn't have the index and the exponent to be the same. The index is at n minus 1 and the exponent is at n. So you will end up having a1 x squared plus a2 x cubed, so on and so forth. We don't want this. So what we will do is we will write this as x times or x times a1x plus a2 x squared plus a3 x cubed, so on. Now the indices and the exponents match, but what is this again? This is g of x from which I have removed a0. So this is x times g of x minus a0. The third summation is the easiest of the lot, because the third summation I'll just have to introduce, I'll just have to factor out an x square to have the uniformity. If I factor out the x square, I'll have the summation a n minus 2 x power n minus 2, which means I'll start from 0 at the index as well as the exponent. And the last term is the harmless, is the most harmless of the lot. It's just a constant. I can take care of this. I'll do that in the next slide. So first thing, I have rewritten the expression on the left as g of x minus a naught x power 0 minus a1 x power 1, and the second summation I factored x alone and I have written that as x times g of x minus a naught x power 0, as I have told you already. And the third time, and the third summation, I'll just have to factor out x square, and I have done that. It's just x square times g of x. The last summation is the most interesting of the lot. It's the most easiest also. It just starts with 4 square x square, 4 cube x cube. That's all right. That's still, you have only powers of 4x. But what am I missing? I am missing the first two powers. I am missing the power where I should have 4 power 0 x power 0 and 4 power 1 x power 1. These two are absent. If I have them also, I can write them in this form. In this form where the summation happens gradually. It starts from the 0 power, 1 power, 2 power, etc. So I will write this expression as the actual summation from which I have subtracted these two. The actual summation is what we will use to introduce the generating function, out of which I have already removed 1 and 4x. So we will just have the last summation as the generating function from which I have already removed 1 and 4x. With that we can proceed, and because we have simplified each of the 4 summations in the given equation, so I can just move ahead, substitute and simplify. So that's what I have. This is the one, g of x minus a naught x power 0 minus a1 x, and this is the first summation a, this is the second summation b, the third one c, and the last one d. A is what we saw 4 screens back. This was a, this was b, this was c, and this was d. So all a, b, c and d. What is left is to use the initial conditions in this equation. We know that a naught is 2 and we know that a1 is 8. So I can use a naught as 2, a1 as 8, a naught as 2. I don't have to simplify anything. So out of this equation I will just have to group all the g of x terms together. So if I group them, I will have g of x times 1 corresponding to this term, and this can be brought to the other side with a minus 4x, and this also can be brought to the other side as a plus 4x square, and I have these two terms moved to the right. So I will have a 2, I will have an 8x, these two together will give me a minus 8x, and I will have this summation as it is. I don't have to do any adjustments there. So I can just lose these two and retain these 3 terms. So when I simplify them, I am supposed to have this as the answer. So this is what we did in the last step of the previous slide. I will have g of x times 1 minus 4x plus 4x squared equaling the generating function minus 4x and plus 1. So you can simplify this. G of x can be 1 minus 4x the whole square upon 1 minus 4x, and I can simplify this as 1 minus 2x the whole square, and I can move it to the bottom on the right and I get this. Now what remains is to resolve this rational function into partial fractions so that we can easily get the coefficients and build our sequence. So I have written the first term as a upon 1 minus 4x, b upon 1 minus 2x, and c upon 1 minus 2x square. I will solve this. So therefore we have a upon 1 minus 4x plus b upon 1 minus 2x plus c upon 1 minus 2x whole square, giving us 1 plus 1 minus 4x the whole square upon the same LCM. So expanding this, we have a times 1 minus 2x whole square plus b times 1 minus 4x times 1 minus 2x plus c times 1 minus 4x alone, giving us 1 plus 16x squared minus 8x plus 1, which turns out to be 16x squared minus 8x plus 2. Simplifying the right, we have a times 1 minus 4x plus 4x square plus b times 1 minus 6x plus 8x square plus c times 1 minus 4x. Now all we need to do is simplify this, group the like terms and solve for a, b and c. So a times the constants appear, the constants are at a plus b plus c plus x times minus 4a minus 6b minus 4c, and the x squares are 4a and 8b. This gives us the required answer of 16x squared minus 8x plus 2. Now comparing the coefficients, we have equation number 1 as a plus b plus c is 2. Equation number 2 is minus 4a minus 6b minus 4c is minus 8, or that is minus 2a minus 3b minus 2c is minus 4. The last term is just 4a plus 8b equaling 16, or a plus 2b equaling 4. Now if I multiply this equation by 2, I can eliminate c. So 2a plus 2b plus 2c is 4. I will just add the 2. So a gets eliminated, c also gets eliminated, I get minus b is equal to 0. So if b is 0, a is easily 4, and if a is 4 and b is 0, I can get c to be 4 plus 0 plus c is 2, or c is going to be minus 2. Therefore the required g of x, the generating function, is 4 upon 1 minus 4x plus 0 upon 1 minus 2x plus minus 2 upon 1 minus 2x the whole squared, and this is enough for us to generate the sequence out of this.